Hello, and welcome back to my podcast, the VictoriousWool podcast. I'm Victoria. I'm a knitwear designer for hand knitters living in the Pacific Northwest. I live on an island, and it's January 30th, so it's the end of the first month of the year, and I was just throwing around to show you Hope by doTerra, which is a essential oil blend that smells really nice, very uplifting. It's got bergamot, ylang ylang. I don't think that's how you say that because there's no A in front of the Y, but boswellia, which is frankincense, and then vanilla. So it smells really good, uplifting. Hopefully will uplift my spirits before I start this episode. This is episode 46 of a podcast mostly about knitting. I'm a knitwear designer, so I talk about my projects that I'm going to publish for you, and also just the things I'm knitting for myself, which I like to call personal knitting, not selfish knitting. And I talk about knitting in general and like my strong opinions about various knitting topics. I have a bit of a different episode today because, well, I have knit a little bit since I reported last in December. I don't have a ton of progress, and I cast on a few things, a couple things, but I thought it would be interesting and fun for you to see the very first 4 sweaters I knit that I don't wear, because I think I assumed when I was starting out to sweater as a sweater knitter that I guess maybe I just never had the concept that you could knit a sweater and it would fit you, in quotation marks, but you wouldn't wear it. And my first 4 sweaters are exactly that. I knit 4 sweaters and I don't wear any of them, and I'm going to open them up. They're in big Ziploc bags to protect them against moths. And I'm going to unbag them all and look at them and kind of go down memory lane a little bit while you get to watch. But I will give you a whip update first, as well as to tell you that I'm wearing the Ginny cardigan by Andrea Mowry. It's a very good design and project. It's got a garter, folded cowl neckline, which I really, really love. It has a kind of bump texture all over, has the tie, and I really, really love it. It's warm. This is DK weight Harrisville Nightshades. It's a great yarn. Of course, it's open, so it gets wear, but it also, it's one of those knits where you like put it on, take it off, put it on, take it off, which is absolutely an essential piece for a warmer kind of temperate climate here, where I might get warm and I might need to shed this layer, and then I'll get cold and I'll put it back on. So today is like 29 degrees outside, 29 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's below freezing for us. It's pretty cold. We had a very cold November and December where we were often below freezing. We had an ice storm, we had a little bits of snow, and then most of January has been pretty warm. So it's been up in the 50s. It hasn't rained. We've had some record-breaking Januaries the last few years of lots of rain, and it hasn't really rained that much, but it's mostly been cloudy and some sunny days. And just in the last 24 hours or so, the temperature just plummeted. So it's the perfect piece to wear on a day when I have been running around the house, cleaning things, doing laundry. I just oiled all of my leather boots and a lot of my leather shoes. So I was at the bottom stair, bent over with my cloth and my oil, and always is really, really magical to oil your leather if you are a person who buys leather products and hasn't ever oiled them. I use Hubbard's, which is, I think, a combination of linseed, tar, and, well, tar is probably not the right word. Linseed oil and beeswax are 2 of the ingredients. I don't think it has lanolin in it, but like heavy oils that smell very tar-like, but they make your shoes very, very happy. And I took a pair of Birkenstocks that were super dry and cracking that I haven't had for that long, but I just never oiled them. and I saturated them really, really heavily with Hubbard. So I'm really excited for when it gets a little warmer. That leather will be more supple and much happier and last me a lot longer. So doing kind of stuff like that. A cardigan is great. Great to have. My belt loops, you probably couldn't tell, but the belt loops here are barely attached now, but they still look great. I think it's funny to have, like, when you look at a knit really closely, you're like, ooh, that needs maybe some TLC at some point that's gonna not fall off, but it looks fine. I love that. It looks fine. No need to do anything. So yeah, that's what I'm wearing. I think this is the color. This might be VCR. It's the one that has the navy undertone. It's the exact same one she used in her pattern. So if you go onto Ravelry or her website and you find the Ginny, it's the colorway that she used just because I really liked it. Sometimes you just gotta knit with the designer knit. Okay, so how many projects do I have? I think I have 4. And I won't go in, I will probably feel tempted to go into lots of detail, but I shouldn't because I want to talk to you about these 4 sweaters before too much time goes by. Okay, so I cast on the Clauredelune socks by the Petite Knitter, which I'm using Fiddley Dye Works, and I'll have to look up the colorways. I think I talked about it at least a podcast episode or 2 ago. Yeah, I cast this on once before. It's too small, and I trying again a couple sizes up, and I'm happy with it. I always really love showing color work on camera because it does give you like more of a back perspective. Sometimes when I do color work, I'm way too critical of what I'm doing, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't look good, or da da da. But you put it in front of a camera, and you're like, magic. It just looks really nice. So I think I've almost finished one repeat of the chart, and I need to start again. And one of the things that's also great about talking about projects on video and then putting it on YouTube is like I get to like look at my stuff and talk about it, and it gets me excited because right now I'm feeling like, we should knit on these right now. These are so cute. I think my favorite section is this little diamond with the dot in the middle and maybe the little, the arrow, I guess. So yeah, I haven't knit on it in a week or more, but it's been very enjoyable. And I think it's my only colorwork project, which is amazing because often I have too many colorwork projects on needles. So I'll put the description of, I'll put the links to the yarn down below rather than having me try to struggle to remember what the color names are right now. And then I also, I think since last episode, I cast on yet again another Knitter's Academia sock. This is a pattern of mine. If you're new to the podcast and you've never seen these socks before, this is KnitPicks Stroll Tweed, which comes in a lot of beautiful colors. I just ordered more colors. I think there's probably only like 2 or 3 colors that they make that I don't have or have not ordered, because I have pretty much everything. This is down, the gray, Gown Heather, and then this is Wellies, which is the black. And they both have the same color of tweed. All the colors have gray, brown, and white bits of tweed in them. So they do all kind of go together. So even whatever color combination you use, there's just going to be this through line of those little bits of tweed that are perfect. And I knit this pretty fast. I think in a matter of like 2 days, I went from stripe number 2 through to the heel to almost the last stripe on the toe. And I have right here my navy and orange pair, which is the first iteration. Then I did kind of a burgundy with navy, which might actually be my favorite color combination. And then I did a Christmas pair where I mix matched the main color, swapped it out with Dill Heather and Firecracker Heather. I will detail all the colors of these also in the show notes. These have not been blocked yet. I also have the ends to weave in. So I need to start a sort of like bigger knit to-do list of things outstanding, like weaving and ends, blocking. Is there anything else I need to do? I have long-term like things I need to finish. Like there's a sweater I need to rip out. There's anything else on that list? I'm sure there's a couple other things. Oh, there's a second sweater cardigan I need to rip out and knit again because it's just too big. But I wanna remake it. I should start a long-term list and a short-term list because getting things checked off a list is always satisfying. So if I don't have anything currently that I could do to finish the project up, I can look at that list and go, oh yeah, I've got those ends to weave in, or oh yeah, I've got a sweater to unknit. Anyways, I'm going to do a separate episode, I think. It's just a shorty, maybe later this week, about the Knitter's Academia socks and the cool features of this pattern. And I definitely need to cast on number 2 before I finish this one because it helps to avoid second sock syndrome if I cast on before I finish number 1. That's a tip right there. Okay. I had this project last episode, but I have knit on it recently, so it's bigger. Not significantly bigger, but this is the Gentle Lopi by Melody Hoffmann. This is a long project because it's a tunic, so it's going to be a long time. You'll be seeing this again and again, so it's just a little bit longer. I think it's now 7 inches deep, I think. Here's the front, actually. The front's a little bit shaped. And there's all the eyelets. There's eyelets on the raglan and eyelets at the neckline because I think what's gonna happen is I'm gonna end up adding a braid, like a after applied braid, which I haven't ever done before, so I'm looking forward to that. But this is with Plotulopi, held double. I think this is 1030. I will also add the colorway below. Smells so good. It's Icelandic Wool Month, I think, is February. I believe it could just be Tolt Yarn and Wool, the local yarn shop here in the greater Seattle area. I think it's their declaration of it being Icelandic Wool Month. Maybe it's global. I'm not sure. But they're my local yarn shop, so I like to celebrate Icelandic Wool Month and always be knitting with Lopi, or at least be wearing all my Lopi sweaters. So we will definitely be posting more about Lopi sweaters in the coming weeks. It's almost February. I just wanted to show this. This is the first light sweater that I knit at the end of last year. Has some embroidery on it in light blue and orange. And I wanted to show the backside because somebody on Instagram asked me if I wove my ends in. To which I declared, no, I'm not gonna weave. There's like at least 100 of these things, these little stitches. It could even be like 300 little embroidery stitches, and each individual one has 2 ends, and I made them very short, so there's no reason to do that, specifically because Lopi is very toothy. It sticks to itself. So the more that I wear the sweater, the more those little ends are going to be very, very secure, and there's no need to weave them in, which is a great thing. Another great aspect of using Icelandic yarn is that it sticks to itself. So if you do color work, you're just going to get a very cohesive, like flattening out. I can already see it flattening just from me wearing it and from blocking it. So yeah, all those little ends aren't going to go anywhere. Just wanted to point that out. Lopi's wonderful. Some folks are really sensitive to itch. So if Lopi is inaccessible for you, that's totally okay. There's lots of yarns out there that are lovely, including the one I'm about to show you, that are very soft and make for excellent sweaters and accessories. So no worries. There's some alternatives. I feel bad saying, sorry, this yarn isn't for you if you're sensitive, but you already know that. So you're probably over it already. So yes, if you can't wear Lopi, I'm sorry for my over exuberance of it, and that I love it so much, and will continue to knit with it. And I have abundant amounts here, and it's the kind of yarn I feel like hoarding up for the end of the world kind of thing, because it's just so durable and long lasting that I have probably at least 6 sweater quantities of Plotulopi and who knows how many sweater quantities of Lopi, which is more like the worsted version. Okay, last whip, going real fast here, is something I also had last time. This is the Camp Pullover by Amy Christoffers. I think that's the back. And it is a little bit longer, I think, than last time. And I was contemplating starting a sleeve. I do like to knit a little bit of the body and then pick up a sleeve just for variety. We'll see. This is sort of the comfort knit because it feels really, really good on the hands. This is 50% wool, 50% alpaca yarn, and it's so soft. This is Berroco's Ultra Alpaca. They're a commercial yarn company. I have used this exact colorway before in a shawl that I love. So I thought, yes, I need to work with this exact yarn again. And so it's just like butter. So anytime I feel like I want to knit, but I don't want to, even do like the slightest amount of work, like the Lopi sweater, I do have to use more effort in my arms and hands because it's a little bit more unyielding is the right word. It doesn't have the same stretch and bounce. It's not soft, really. So this is what I pick up if I need some like textural joy. The other one has lots of texture too. It's just a little bit more rough. And if I knit just with Lopi for a really long time, it does actually strain my arms and hands. So it's nice to have something like this to just do something different. Give my hands a rest. Okay, those are the whips.
Like a wild man, sleeping like a child. You're so luminous and vibrant. I'm always in bloom for you. Always in bloom. Always in bloom for you. Times I've stranded, a castaway on unknown shore, although a stranger in this continent, I'm always in bloom for you. Always in bloom, always in bloom for you.
The 4 sweaters I made when I first started sweater knitting back in 2000. How old would I have been? This is the first sweater. Let me find it's called the Hourglass sweater. It's by Joelle Hoffmann from the Last Minute Knitted Gifts book, which is, I think, pretty well distributed. I'd run into quite a few knitters who had this book back in the day. Stuart, Tabori, and Chang are the publishers, but this sweater took me 4 years to do. I think I knit, it's from the bottom up, and then you do a raglan. You join the sleeves and the body together and do a raglan, and I knit the whole body, I think, and then I got lost. It was before I was writing really, really good knitting notes, and then I came back to it after a time and didn't know where I was, and so I had to rip that all out. And so it took about 4 years of like little bits and attempts to get it to be completed. And I remember finishing I remember joining the body and the sleeves at a farmer's market with a bunch of other knitters because I needed help. And I remember that it was so much easier than I couldn't conceive of how to put it together, and it was so much easier. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it on. This is the one that fits me the worst, I think. So originally I didn't want to try them on here as I talk about them, but really they need to be on me for me to really talk about what doesn't work. So you'll have seen a video of me wearing it outside so you can see the full body, but it fits, right? Like I can put it on, but it's definitely negative ease. This may be one of the only ones that I have that's negative ease, with maybe a couple exceptions. But first of all, the armhole depth is too short. So I know now, after knitting a lot of sweaters and obviously making these 4 mistakes, that I need about a 10-inch depth from the back neck to the bottom to where the arms split for the sleeves, if not a little bit more. So this is just way shoved up in there. This is probably more like a 7-inch, maybe 8-inch depth, and it just doesn't. Yeah, your sweaters shouldn't do this. It's like whiskering, I think this is called. And it does also indicate to me that the shoulders aren't wide enough. Like it accentuates my like slouchiness. And even if I open my chest up, it doesn't get rid of it. So it's just too narrow. I have fairly broad shoulders for a person who has the size torso that I do. So yeah, it just doesn't fit me. And I think, at least modeled in the picture, it looks like she's got some positive ease here. Maybe not a lot, but yeah, not on me. So I probably knit the smallest size. I just did that back then. I've always been the littlest person in my family, so I just was like, oh, I'll pick the small. So, yep. Interestingly enough, the sleeves aren't long enough. So bottom up, you have to kind of guess how long you want your sleeves to be when you haven't done it before. So definitely should have made them like probably 2-3 inches longer. And yeah, it's just generally really uncomfortable. So yeah, now I make, it also does this. Not a lot, but they believe, I looked through the pattern and there are no short rows in the back. So there's no back neck shaping to like heighten that. And so you get the front being a little bit up and the back isn't actually dipping too far down. So, but this is not the shape that they were going for. I think I changed the neckline. No, I did the right one. It looks like I changed the sleeve cuffs from what they were supposed to be. This is like sort of like this purl row to stop it from rolling, which is an interesting. Oh, I just didn't seam this down. So this is what they all looked like, and then you would fold it underneath and seam it, and I just decided not to, I guess. Doesn't matter. I never wear the sweater. So this is number 1. I used Cascade 220, which is a worsted weight yarn that's non-superwash, and I definitely used 2 different lot numbers, so the colors across the chest really actually here it is a distinct line, and also there's a line when right where it also accentuates the difference between the body and the sleeves and the yoke coming together. It definitely shows that spot, and there's definitely some pooling, which I don't think you'll be able to see on camera. But yeah, I remember being upset by that. Also, there was a skein I used at the end of the sweater up here, but in the yoke and the neckline and stuff, that had like 20 breaks in it, and I didn't know any better, and so I just kept weaving in ends. I remember weaving in ends for a couple hours after it was over because I just had so many, and this is a seamless garment, so you shouldn't have to be doing that so much. Number 2 is from a book that I no longer remember the title of. I borrowed it from someone. I think it was an interweave book. And I, yeah, have no way of figuring out what that is. But it's a combination of the sweater pattern from the book and what I really wanted to knit at the time, which is a cable down the side. Because I had a J. Crew sweater purchased that had little cables down the side, which I thought were gorgeous, and I wanted to do that in a sweater. So I picked this pattern because I thought I could adapt it, which is great that I felt comfortable doing that right out the bat as a brand new sweater knitter, that I did adapt. So I feel like this is a success in that way. It's also probably a little bit too clingy. Maybe a little bit of negative ease, but not a ton. So there's that cable. Looks pretty good. This one's a little more successful in its length. I think this is top down, I'm pretty sure. And you picked up the neckline later, and it has this cross, which I thought was cool, but it just doesn't, as you'll have seen me when I wear it outside, it's just not a flattering shape for me. I have a really long torso, so I feel like I need, if I wear a really long fitted sweater, it just elongates me, and that may be great for someone who's shorter, has a shorter torso, but it's not when all of you is just long. It doesn't, that's not what I prefer. So yeah, this one was with KnitPicks, some sort of bulky yarn they were making at the time. Yeah, and it fits a little bit better in the shoulders, but yeah, it's just probably too small and not the right weight or the right fiber content for a sweater like this. If it was a little lighter, it was like a mohair blend, or if it was more of a fingering weight, maybe it would be better. Be a DK. Certainly not I think this is Erin. So this was a miss too. The third one is from Anna Fedig's book, Knitbot Yoked, which is a beautiful little pamphlet style book. It's called the Basic Round Yoke Unisex Pullover. And here's a picture of it being worn by a man and a woman. It has no back neck shaping. So this is really the sweater that I couldn't deny to myself that this sweater was a problem. I wore it a lot. I was happier with the fit and the color than the other two, and so I did give it I've even worn it for a year, I'm sure, but it also touches right here, which, considering how many different kinds of sweaters I have now and the different necklines and stuff, it's really not that bad. But at the time, I remember being frustrated that it dipped back further than it did in the front. Yeah, this one it's not extreme, but it definitely bothered me. Is that like round yoke where you add in a little beautiful little pattern. Sleeves are, of course, not quite long enough for me. And there's more space. This is one of those things where, like, sometimes space in fabric hangs out back here, weirdly, and not in the front. This is KnitPicks Knitwool of the Andes. So yeah, this is definitely the best one of the four, but it still is. It's still a sweater that I was like, okay, because I think it's a little bit especially for a round yoke, which are usually pretty deep. It's puckering too much here, and the bicep is a little small. Actually, I forgot to mention for those first two sweaters that the biceps are too, upper arm is too close, too small also. And I do have bigger arms now, but I kind of remember being, unhappy with that. Like, you just need to, a sweater ideally isn't something you notice you're wearing because it just fits so well and there's space. And this is like a little bit of an itchy sweater, so you kind of would want to not notice it. But yeah, this is the nicest one. Still don't wear it anymore though. I used to wear it, I think I wore it farming a lot. Like I would wear it when I had potential to get dirty outside. I think this last one is probably the second worst fit. That first one is really bad. This one is just like, just doesn't stay on me. So it has great long sleeves because this is a top-down cardigan from Hannah Fettig called the Rocky Coast Cardigan. And it has such a tall back neck because I added short rows. I took this apart because it was just this depth the whole way across, and it's just, it won't stay on. It would actually fall off of me if I am doing anything. So I asked somebody how I could do that, and I added short rows and made it taller so that when it does inevitably do this, it's still covering me. It's like a shawl. No, it just doesn't, as you can see, this shoulder point, this is collar. So this shoulder point should really be like over here, or, you know, anywhere closer would have been better than right on the tip of my arm. So there is also very little front panel that's all being pulled back because it's just not wide enough for me. I didn't pick the right size. And there's not enough depth in the back neck to keep it on me. So it's really like, it's acting as if it's a raglan, but it's acting like a set-in sleeve because this is where a set-in sleeve would be. And then it's also like, I can feel it pulling open. So the button band is also distorted. So it sort of flares funny. You'll have seen when I was wearing it outside. And it just doesn't close. It's like a very, very tiny person could probably feel comfortable in this, but it's just like not working for me. And it's sad because this is the one that is an all over cable pattern, and it was the first one that I had done of that kind. I don't think I've knit an all over cable pattern since then. So I have actually, no, one other time in a piece sweater that I haven't ripped out yet because it is not going to fit me. I didn't even seam it because I was like, yeah, the front and the back sections aren't the same size. Which actually, if the back section was longer, that might be a good idea. But I think that sweater is also going to end up being too fitted. That was one of my earlier attempts. So yeah, I learned so much from these sweaters. I think the main, as I tried them all on yesterday, the main thing I realized was when I made these and they didn't work, I think I came to the conclusion that I need a higher back neck. So short rows in the back. I needed shaping there. And then I needed to pick a better size. Like I needed to pick a size based on my actual measurements, not like, oh, just knit the smallest one because I'm always the smallest. So now I usually pick like the second size in. Most often, sometimes even the third, depending on how much positive ease that the sweater is designed for. And then I really kind of picked, I picked close fitting designs. I think just my style is different. So I pick things that have more ease. So there's more flexibility in the design. There's just more space generally. So I was more successful after this. I was trying to remember what the fifth sweater was, what the next one was that I made. So I could think about whether or not that one was successful. I couldn't remember. To have to go back into my notes and see if I can find, or even back into my Instagram, because I was knitting the navy blue one when I started posting on Instagram, I think in 2015. So yeah, 2015 or 16 or 14, around there was when I finished the green one and then did all these. So I could check, but yeah, it just makes me think about like, well, was the next one a success? Did I like it more? Do I still wear that one? I have so many now. I have at least 30. So, and it's only been about 7 years. I think this will be the 8th year that I've been knitting sweaters. So I've knit a lot of sweaters in a short amount of time. And it makes sense that I would like make these and figure out, that I don't like certain things, or that when you start to have a lot, you end up picking your favorites. And that's always a good thing to pay attention to. Like, which ones do you always reach for? and what ones that you made that you thought were successful are you not reaching for? And I just never, I mean, I haven't pulled out any of these in several years. So I was, you know, refining my skills and my pattern choices, and it is fun to go back and look and see, and try to remember what is it that I didn't like about these. So it was pretty easy with this one. I tried really hard to adjust it and make it work for me. And I have lots of nice photos of me wearing it to try to like, yes, I can accept this sweater. And it just really, no, it's just not it. So someday I think I'll knit another cable, or maybe I'll design a cabled pullover or cardigan that works better. Anyways, that's my episode for today. I hope you're knitting on something fun, and I will be back next month.